Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of our F122 My Team Career Mode, and this time we are at Imola. Now, we have asked who our rival is. We have been asked who our rival is, and we say it is Pierre Gasly, because I think he's the most likely that we're actually going to be able to beat. You can see our development's completed. We've had an ERS, a weight reduction, and a weight redistribution, so quite a bit of work we've had done to our car. And weather forecast for qualifying, sprint and race is completely dry across all three of them, so we've got no issues with the weather there. And you can see performance wise we are a little bit slower than Alfa Romeo and Alpine, but I mean realistically we're pretty much exactly the same pace. As you can see, Haas is a little bit behind McLaren, and then everyone else all the way below us. Let's get straight into qualifying. So into Q1 here, we are hoping to do reasonably well, but obviously we don't have to do amazingly because we do have the sprint. So the idea here is obviously try and get into Q2 and 3 if we can. In terms of car performance wise, we should be fighting for it, but obviously when you've got the Alfa Romeo and the Haas, or Alpine was it, I think, yeah, Alfa Romeo and Alpine pretty much as fast as us, it's going to be a bit of a struggle to get in. You see, we decided to basically skip all the way to the end of Q1 before we did our lap, because then we can save tyres and hopefully our first run gets us through. We crossed the line there. Is it enough? It is. P13. And we did a 1:16.992. Our teammate did a 1:16.924 in 12th. So we've pretty matched on pace there. You got AlphaTauri, Williams, Alfa Romeo. They're all out. That is the problem that the Alfa Romeo team are going to have. At least in this game, Zhou Guanyu is pretty slow. It's probably not very fair because in real life he's actually been doing all right. But you see, this is our first lap in Q2 as we fast forward to the end of the line, and we do a 1:16.609. So we've improved by pretty much 4 tenths from our Q1 time, and our teammate did a 7:67. So we're about a tenth and a half quicker than him at the moment. That should hopefully put us into Q3 without having to do another run, and it does. Our teammate just gets in with Schumacher doing a 7:76. So yeah, pretty tight. I mean, to be fair, Fernando Alonso in 8th, 7:38. That's how close it was down at the bottom of Q2 there. Our first run in Q3 was a 1:17. Dead on pretty much, which really isn't quick enough, so we're going to have to go faster in Q3. I mean, we can go faster. We did a 1:16.6, so there's no reason we can't replicate that. And this is our final run in Q3, but you can see behind us we've got the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton, I think, or Russell, no, Hamilton, yeah. The Mercedes of Hamilton was very, very close to me, so I kept looking behind me, making sure he wasn't going to go for some crazy dive bomb on me. But anyway, going around the final corner, we are pretty much 5 tenths up. So this should be a pretty decent lap as we cross the line. Where has it put us? P5. That I will take that. 1:16.493. So we improved by another tenth. Our teammate improves by a tenth as well. Gets a 1:16.6. I think Hamilton was held up by us and only ended up 9th. So overall, 5th and 8th for our team heading into the sprint. So in the sprint races, you don't really do a pit stop. If you did, you would end up all the way at the back. And obviously, we're going to start on the mediums because why would you do the whole race on the hards? But we get a purple parking there. As you see, we've parked ourselves pretty far to the right to make sure we don't get overtaken by the guys behind us, and we get a pretty good launch off the line by the looks of it. We've kept the Mercedes of Hamilton behind us, although we are going side by side with someone in this corner. Oh no, that's our teammate. Our teammate's going side by side with the Mercedes of George Russell there, I think, but we have kept ourselves out of trouble in those first few corners, and we are still in 5th place, just ahead of Hamilton and I'm guessing Alonso, who are fighting behind. And then, like I say, our teammate is trying his best to get past Russell, but he has not managed to do so, unfortunately. Oh, that was Hamilton, actually. I got them mixed up. It's Russell that is behind us, and it's Hamilton that our teammate is fighting. But as you see, on to lap 2 here, we have, like I said, kept the 5th place behind Perez, ahead of Russell. Perez, I reckon, is going to just pull away pretty quickly from us. I mean, the Red Bull is quite a faster car than we are. As Russell sends it down the inside, and then we're still side by side. Now, I can tell you going side by side into that corner does not happen. So Russell rightfully backs out there. Otherwise we would have had a bit of an incident as we get all squirrely over the corner exit. I can't speak today by the seams of it. But it not too much of an issue, and we managed to stay ahead of Russell for another lap. And there's a yellow flag, and Russell has an engine failure. So we don't have to deal with him anymore for the rest of this race because his engine has blown up. Normally that would be a good thing, and it is, but we have to remember we have a Mercedes engine in the back of our car, and we really don't want another engine failure because that would send us right to the back of the grid for the race. But we basically let Alonso go because we know that, at least on this track, having DRS on the main straight is vital, otherwise you are just getting overtaken. But unfortunately, we actually let him go a little bit too much and ended up fighting with Hamilton. So we weren't able to re-overtake Alonso. So we've actually lost a place to him, which obviously wasn't what I was trying to go for. But as we say this, our teammate Button is desperately trying to get past Hamilton, although on lap 8 Hamilton has managed to pull away a little bit and goes for a big old dive bomb down the inside of us. And we actually are side by side through here. Is he going to back out this time? No. So we just squeeze him wide, squeeze him off the track there. Probably should have left him a little bit more space, but like I say, you just can't go side by side down there, as we try the old trick of let him ahead a little bit, so then we cross the DRS line behind him as we're practically pushing him through the final corner there. That's how slow he is through that final corner. But we have learnt from our mistake of Alonso and made sure to stay ahead of him, and it actually allows Button to get past him as well. So making Hamilton not have the DRS there has helped both of us because we've stayed ahead and our teammate has managed to get past him, but our teammate is trying to get past us through the chicane, which again, really, you can't fit two cars into the chicane. We've seen what has happened at a similar place in Monza with Hamilton and Verstappen when they both tried to go through a single chicane. Sometimes things can happen, but we crossed the line in P6, so we only lose one position in the end, which was to Alonso, who we basically let through. So yeah, could have done a little bit better there, but we end up P6, our teammate P7. So going into the race, I think we are in for a pretty good chance of quite a lot of points for our team.
Hello there and welcome back to Imola, home circuit of the Scuderia Ferrari. We expect to see a lot of local supporters wearing red today, and they've all turned out for what we're expecting will be a sensational event here at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Fernando Alonso, Paul and Button, Hamilton, Bottas, Mick Schumacher and Lando Norris, Ocon, Tsunoda, Carlos Sainz and Albon, Joe, Latifi, Daniel Ricciardo and Pierre Gasly, Vettel, Magnussen, Stroll and George Russell ends our grid lineup. And now it's time to head down to the track.
So it turns out we're actually P5 and 6 because in only the 4th race of the season, Carlos Sainz has already got an engine penalty. So that allows both of us to gain an extra position, which I will take. Looks like the strategy, as usual, is mediums to hards. Would you believe it? That's pretty much going to be the strategy for almost every race, as we try something pretty interesting here and go as far right as we possibly can. We only get green for doing that, but the idea is just shoot over to the right hand side and cover off our teammate because we do not want to be getting involved with him. And you can see on the replay there just how out of place our car is. We just shoot over to the right hand side. We actually get a pretty good start. We managed to get past our teammate there, and we're side by side pretty much with Alonso, I think. Do we get past him? We send it down the inside at least, and we are still side by side. Are we going to win this battle? It looks like it. We have managed to get ahead of Alonso, and I think the Red Bull as well. During all of that, he must have got a pretty terrible start, which means that at this point in the Grand Prix on lap 1, we are in P3. We are in a podium position in our 4th race as Alonso dives into the pit, so we must have given him some damage there. So he's in for a new wing, which is probably going to ruin his race, as Leclerc and Perez are fighting very hard to get the race lead here. I mean, Perez would absolutely love to have a race win, but obviously, as we know, Charles Leclerc is the man in the lead of the championship, so he is not going to give that up easily, as we are in a battle with Perez's teammate Max Verstappen, as we go side by side, and he keeps the nose in, but we do not give up, and he backs out because, like I said, you do not want 2 cars going into that corner. But on the main straight, he has got the straight line speed, but we do the old switcheroo, as the F1 commentators love to say, and we manage to keep the place, but you can see just how close he is. I mean, we've got a bit of a train behind us. We've got Schumacher, looks like a Mercedes behind him as well, our teammate just in the distance behind us, as you can see. But Verstappen, at this point of the race, is clearly the quicker car, which, I mean, you would expect. He's in a Red Bull. We're in our car. Performance-wise, it's nowhere near. But we brake late and get the old switcheroo again. I found that when the AI does dive bombs like that, if you just brake early, they end up out-braking themselves, and you can just get the switch back anyway. Verstappen fighting Schumacher there. Looks like Verstappen won out on that once again. This time, as DRS is enabled, we do the same thing as we did to the Mercedes in the sprint, and brake a little bit early so that we cross the line after Verstappen, so then we get the DRS. And I mean, look at that, we have so much more straight line speed when we have the DRS and the overtake button, and we just get straight back past him. So it might be quite a long race of us just doing that lap after that. But there's a big old yellow flag there for some reason, as Verstappen almost bins it himself. What's happened behind us? That looks like our teammate, yep, Jenson Button is out of this race. So, yeah. Our hopes for a double points finish for our team are ended. Unfortunately, I don't think that was actually an engine failure. I think he just ended up in some sort of incident there. But it has brought out the safety car as Perez dives into the pits for softs. I don't know if he got damage or if he was on a 2-stopper, but that's a very interesting strategy. I'm not sure why he's done that, and it looks like a Mercedes is also into the pits. So, pretty terrible day for those, but it does mean that we are up into P2 for the safety car restart, which is absolutely crazy. I would say we're not going to bother trying to fight Leclerc, but why not? I mean, we're in P2. I know we should probably not fight him too hard, but, I mean, look at that. We got such a good run on him. I don't know, honestly, I don't know what happened. He must have just not done the overtake button. But we got such a good run on him. We send it down the outside, and we are ahead. We are ahead in this Imola Grand Prix. We are leading it. And look who's behind us. Schumacher. It is we are P1 in the SK Shadow Team racing car. And a Haas is in P2, although pretty short-lived there, as Verstappen makes light work of getting past the Ferrari-powered Haas. So I think it's not going to be long until he is in our gearbox and trying to get past us. As there you go. There's the evidence. Lap 10, he is right behind us. He's going to have DRS on us, and we're not even going to bother fighting it. We've got 82% ERS, but what is the point of using it? He's going to get past us eventually. And at the end of the day, the longer we spend fighting him, the more time it's going to push us back into the likes of Schumacher and Bottas, who are cars that actually are a similar pace to us, as we know. But lap 14, we dive into the pits and hopefully get a decent stop to get on our set of hards. Get a green, not a purple, so it's not going to be the fastest stop we could have, but it's a 2.7. That will do. Where do we end up coming out, though? P7. Not too bad, I suppose. Verstappen obviously ahead of us. You can see on the minimap, I don't know if that Ferrari is actually pit, but he is so far ahead of us, it's insane. I'm guessing he hasn't pit yet. We've got Zhou Guanyu in P5 on the mediums. Obviously he hasn't pit yet. But Perez, who did that strange strategy that I said, going onto the softs, is onto the hards, and he's in P8 within DRS distance of us. So clearly he knew something we didn't, because that strategy's actually worked out pretty well. Once again, we break early, get the DRS. I'm not sure we're going to fight this one, because, again, I mean, we're just going to end up getting pushed back into Bottas, which we already are, because he's within the DRS of us. So the aim of this game is going to be staying ahead of Bottas, but then as we come out of the pits, look how close Schumacher is. The amount of time we have lost in that pit phase is insane. I mean, most of it is because when you come out on the hards, obviously, with the new rules, they're a lot colder than they used to be, which means that the warm-up phase takes quite a while. So I think we lost a good 2-3 seconds just trying to get those tyres warmed up compared to the AI, because they're just able to do it so much quicker. But there was just a showcase of just how powerful the DRS was. Well, is. I mean, the gap we were able to pull from Perez, but I mean, onto lap 21, you can see that. I mean, that Red Bull is so much faster in the corners than us. He's already gapped us by 2 seconds, but we've actually gapped Schumacher by 2.7 seconds. So Bottas is nowhere to be seen. So I'm guessing Schumacher and Bottas must have had a collision there, and that's why they're so far back. But Leclerc's in P5 actually. There was me thinking he was miles ahead. We've got Sainz is ahead of us. I don't know how that happened. Must have happened in the pit stops. But Leclerc is in P5, who is behind us. Again, we're not going to make this difficult for him, because what is the point? We do not want to be losing any time to Schumacher in these last few laps, because a P5 finish would be fantastic for the team and for ourselves, of course, in terms of the Drivers' Championship. But yeah, I don't know what happened to Leclerc there. Maybe in our little fight at the safety car restart, we gave him a little bit of wing damage, and then when he came into the pits, he had to change his wing, maybe? I'm not sure. But on to lap 29, and Hamilton is absolutely on hammer time there. He's got past Schumacher. We've lost so much time, actually. 1.2 seconds to Schumacher. And he was like 3 seconds behind, so I'm guessing he's just getting dragged along with the DRS of Hamilton. Like I said, just how powerful it is. We get super squirrely out of the exit of that corner. We go pretty defensive, sending Hamilton to have to go round the outside here. We push him a little bit wide. We pretty much push him towards Schumacher, but he hasn't lost the position there. As going up the hill, he is so close. Is he going to try our teammate move? Is he going to try and send it down the outside into this chicane? He is trying it, and it just doesn't work, does it? Because, like I say, you cannot put 2 cars into that chicane. It just doesn't work. But anyway, lap 30, P4. Schumacher's actually managed to get past Hamilton, although it looks like they're having a bit of a fight. We'll have to wait to see who gets out on top in that one. It's just crazy at this point that a Haas is battling that hard with a Mercedes. But I guess in real life it's happening. I mean, Austria, even a sprint and the race, I mean, both Haas's, especially Schumacher, fighting very, very hard with Hamilton. It just seems like in real life, Schumacher, after he got his points finish, has just suddenly become a lot better. But I mean, even in F2 and F3, it took him 1.5 seasons until he actually became good. But we're going 3 wide there into the first corner. The Haas, the McLaren and the Mercedes of Hamilton. That McLaren just came out of nowhere. Just literally on the last lap, he managed to move himself up from, I guess, 7th place to 5th. So some pretty good points for the McLaren of Norris, as we bring it home in 4th. That's just insane, as Carlos Sainz actually wins the Grand Prix. So that means that is his first win in this world of F1, at least. Obviously, he has actually won in real life, but this season he hadn't. So that is his first win, with looks like Checo on the podium. Yeah, Checo, and then Leclerc, and then us in 4th, Norris, Alonso. That was the overall results. Norris, Schumacher, Hamilton, then Alonso and Ocon. Our teammate, as we know, unfortunately ended up in that crash, and he did not bring home any points for us, which is a shame. But you can see in terms of our best lap time, 1:19.1, Schumacher 1:19.4, Alonso 1:19.4. So we were definitely on the pace there. As overall we are 8th with 27 points, only 4 points behind Verstappen, but I suppose he's had so many DNFs that's kind of to be expected. With Button on 16 points, so we're doing pretty well. Leclerc only 3 points ahead of Sainz, so the title fight is certainly ramping up, and that solidifies our 5th place currently behind Alpine. Only 6 points, so hopefully over the next few races we should be able to jump Alpine. But other than that, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, all that fantastic action, and we will be in Miami for the next race.